Welcome back, everybody. In this video, I want to show off a quick overview of my favorite class builds. I am interested in doing a tier list for overclocks eventually, but I would probably do them based on how fun they are, because I'm not really a meta kind of person. I don't like chasing the best of the best builds and all that. I kind of like just having fun with it. So I might do that in the future for each of the 4 classes. But for this, I just want to do a quick, showing of my favorite builds and what I rock. So let's start with the driller. We have the corrosive sludge pump and the wave cooker as my 2 main weapons for this class. The sludge pump I focus on doing dot damage and slowing down things. So I build it all based on having more damage on impact, and then just doing that nasty dot and slowdown. For the cryo cannon, crystal nucleation, which allows you to create frosty patches on the ground, which do some pretty good damage, actually. But honestly, I still prefer the sludge pump. And then, I wish I used the flamethrower more because it's an incredible weapon. It has some cool overclocks, but I like the sticky fuel because nothing better than just watching everything burn in fire and brimstone when you burn the walls, the ceiling, the floor. But I'm usually between that and using Scorching Tide. I'm between the two. I'm torn. Because this one shoots a horizontal blast in front of you, and the negatives only affect the Scorching Tide blast. So it's a neutral overclock for the base weapon. But still, just the sludge pump is so much fun. So the wave cooker. Blistering necrosis all day, every day. Allowing you to create little blisters that create weak spots, especially on very armored enemies. This thing is amazing when you're playing with people, so they can shoot at the weak spots, or you can use your flamethrower or whatever you're using to break the weak spots yourself. This thing is amazing. And then we have the EPC, Overcharger, best one in my opinion, either that or the Persistent Plasma if you want to have more of a dot when it explodes. But also having thin containment field, this thing is a mining laser, essentially, too. Where you shoot a large blast, you shoot a charge shot with a normal shot, and it breaks any minerals that it touches. So it's a quick way to mine as well. As for the Sabuda, I'm kind of iffy on. There isn't really any super good overclock. For the longest time, I was using automatic fire because you can kind of build around the recoil and the increased base spread, but it just, something felt wrong with it. It still felt a little hard to use, so I decided just to go with the homebrew powder for just a simple damage increase and the occasional damage decrease by only 20%. So it's not horrible, but usually I don't use it that much anyways. I love the wave cooker, so it doesn't really matter all that much. So now let's go to the engineer. Warthog, there's 2 of my favorites. Pump shotgun. You lose ammo and magazine capacity, but the amount of damage that this thing does, it does over double the amount of the base damage. And it turns into a pump shotgun. This thing is amazing. And it even has blow-through. So it shoots through monsters as well. This thing is just so good. And if you want more of a traditional style to the Warthog auto, you use the magnetic pellet alignment. This is probably my also go-to, depending on the mission I'm playing, where the only downside is the rate of fire, which you can build around. And I should add that every weapon in the game, I kind of build around having maximum ammo, because more ammo means more damage immediately. And that's how I kind of build them. As for the stubby SMG, EM Fire Booster seems to be the best one. The electric damage is pretty low for my experience, but when you kick this up, you knock it up to a 2, and all you really have to deal with is increased base spread, which you can kind of build around right here by making it a little less recoil, and then this will allow your gun to have better accuracy, so you can kind of build around it. Or if you want to get crazy, you can go with a turret EM discharge and cause your turret to make an electrical explosion. But personally, I like the safe bet of just going with the EM refire booster. Oh boy, the Lock 1 Smart Rifle. This thing is, it's something. I'm not a fan of it. Not my kind of gun. I think the ammo, it needs more ammo. This thing just eats through it so fast. Basically, Executioner is the only thing I play if I ever use this weapon because I love the weak point damage bonus. Or I'll go with the Smart Trigger OS. This is weird, but I just find that to be good, the Smart Trigger OS. And it just automatically fires at enemies once it fully locks on. But it's just, like I said, it needs more ammo. If it can't get double the ammo, it needs at least like 120 more rounds or something around there to give us some more firepower. Because these two overshadow, in my opinion. As for the secondaries, Breach Cutter is my go-to with the Hellfire, or Inferno, not Hellfire. The Inferno overclock, because all it does really is it takes a little bit of a hit on the direct plasma damage, but it makes up for it very much in flame damage when this goes through enemies. This thing is so good. Now, if I'm doing an elimination mission, though, I use a Shard Diffractor with the Overdrive booster. This is one of those overclocks where it only affects the special ability of it. So this is completely neutral to the base weapon and does not affect it. Now, when you press reload while firing, you activate the booster, and this thing just annihilates everything it touches. As for the grenade launcher, I go with Hyper Propellant. This thing makes the AoE explosion a whole lot shorter, or smaller, but the direct damage, 445. And the area damage does not change, it's just how big the area is that changes. And you take a small hit on ammo, but honestly, that's been my go-to when I use that. So next, let's go with Gunner. For the minigun, burning hell all day, every day. Something so satisfying about burning everything around you, burning everything in front of the gun, burning even more when your weapon starts to heat up red. The minigun's just great. I mean, it's just your average minigun in a shooter game that just rips apart everything it touches. And I think Burning Hell is probably the best one. And it overheats faster, but you can kind of build around that to not worry about that. But yeah, Burning Hell, easy pick. Thunderhead, autocannon. Neurotoxin payload all day, every day. This thing is incredible. Without any of these stats here, it creates a dot on enemies with a large splash radius. And this thing just, wow. They take a good amount of poison damage, and then if you add this onto it, the splash damage can make enemies flee in fear while taking damage from this thing. And I don't know if it slows them down. Does it slow them down? Yeah, they move slower too, and they take a massive dot while being feared. So this thing is just a no-brainer to pick. And lastly, for the primaries, we have the rocket launcher. Mine layer system has been my favorite. Shoot at the ground, it makes a mine, it does an insane amount of damage. Or if you're in a pinch, just shoot directly at enemies, short range, and it works as a normal rocket launcher. No missile guidance, small reduction on ammo, but this thing is wild with the mines. It shreds through even the toughest enemies. So that's why this and this are usually my go-tos. I don't really have a main weapon for this. I just kind of go all over depending on the mission, but there's something so special about using the neurotoxin payload. It's so satisfying. Okay. So the Bulldog Heavy Revolver. One of my least used sidearms for this character. 6-shooter. More ammo. One more in the chamber. And the negatives aren't really that bad, but I just don't use it a whole lot to get a really good impression of it. It's a good gun, but I prefer the coil gun. But let's start with this first. The burst fire gun, lead spray, just give it the damage bonus. For the longest time I was using micro flechettes, but then I realized how much damage I was missing out on, so I just went with lead spray to get it the good damage bonus. But here we are with probably one of the best sidearms in the game, the coil gun. With Hellfire and controlled magnetic flow. And the electric trail. So how this works is that you charge it up like 3 notches on your crosshair before you can fire it. With this ability, you can charge it up once or twice to use less ammo and to do a little bit less damage. So you can control based on the type of enemy you're using it on. On top of this, it's doing flame damage when enemies are in the trail. And it's doing electrical damage when enemies are in the trail. This thing, like I said, it's probably the best sidearm in the entire game, I would say. This thing is so much fun to use. And lastly, we got Scout. The best one for the GK2 is the AI stability engine. Increase weak point damage, no recoil, and you just take a small hit on your damage and a slower rate of fire, but honestly, it's not super noticeable. This thing is amazing. M1000 Classic. I have 2 overclocks depending on what I'm using. Active stability system when I'm doing focus shots. Being able to have that extra mobility while charging it up is always good. Or if you want to go around and use this thing as a battle rifle, you go with Hipster. And you just use it for hip firing and not worrying about charge shots. But you see, where this shines is the plasma carbine. I used to hate this gun when it first came out, but ever since I started getting some overclocks and testing them out, this gun's been growing on me, and it's to the point where this is my new main weapon for when I play Scout. Thermal exhaust feedback. Fire damage when the weapon hits 50% heat, and it's so good. This thing is amazing. Shield battery booster is also super fun, and it has a massive damage bonus, but overheating it will destroy your shield, and if you lose any of your shield, which by the way has a boost to it as well, you lose the damage bonus. So this thing is very rough to use, but when it works, I would say this is the best one, but letting it do flame damage, you can't beat flame damage. And lastly, we have the sidearms. Boomstick, just give it the stuffed shells, because a double barrel does what a double barrel does best. Give it the stuffed shells for a damage bonus, and we're good. Or if you want to do some crazy damage, well, not even really crazy damage, but if you want to be a little nutty with it, do the double barrel, and it unloads both at the same time. You lose ammo, but you do get a huge increase in blast wave damage, so you do feel more damage as well. I usually bounce between the two of them, but for safekeeping, I just like nice stuffed shells. My main one, the Zukovs. Gas recycling is probably the best one. You get no weak point damage, which does suck, but you get a good boost to damage and armor breaking, which that's always good. But you definitely feel the weak point damage. And even if you pick this, there's no weak spot damage at all. You can't build around that. So, if you don't like that, I would say go with cryo minelets, so that when you shoot the ground with this, the bullets turn into frozen mines, and it will freeze enemies. So, either one of these two, I'd say, are the best. And lastly, we have the Bolt Shark. I don't use it a whole lot, but it is very fun to use. Honestly, these are very iffy. These two are good, Firebolt and Cryobolt, because it directly changes the main bolt of the weapon. Trifork Valley, it's alright, but I've been playing around with all of these, and it seems like the only one that I really enjoyed was the Specialist. It's simple, more special bolts, and increased special bolt effect duration. And I build my special bolts based on electricity, and then when I launch two of them, it creates like a charge between the two. And that's just good enough for me. But that was my preferred builds for each class. And if I want to talk about the favorite grenades, Impact Axe, easily. If I were to pick a second one, it would probably be the Spring-Loaded Ripper, but the axe is just so good. If you miss, you can pick it up. Plasma Burster for Engineer. Tactical Lead Burster, which is like a little turret for Gunner. And Scout, you just can't beat a Cryo Grenade. You can't beat freezing stuff. That's just something so special about that. But that's all I got for you again in this video. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what your favorite builds are and what you love running in Deep Rock Galactic. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.